voice in my heart helps me move forward. Life is no longer stranded. The world is grand. Life is in my hands. Love always helps me move forward. Always cultivate before time fades away. Time passes in the blink of an eye. We cannot go back in time. Let's get together and strive forward. Love always helps me move forward. Make my life shine and be the star of life. It's always bright. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time is ticking and slipping away. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move forward. Happiness in my hands. Life is so grand. A voice in my heart helps me move forward. Life is no longer stranded. The world is grand. Life is in my hands. Love always helps me move forward. Always cultivate before time flies. We cannot go back in time. Let's get together, stride forward. Love always helps me move forward. Make my life shine and be the star of life. It's always bright. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time is ticking and slipping away. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move forward. Happiness in my hands. Life is so grand. Love always reminds me to move forward. Time passes year after year. Love always reminds me to move forward. Winds blow and clouds come and go. Love always reminds me to move
Hello and welcome to our Super Life Secret Codes online workshop. My name is Ryan Sway, and first I'd like to thank Master Sun for providing us these great tools to improve our lives. I also want to thank our panelists and all the participants from around the world. Super Life Secret Codes teaches us how to take control of life using energy management. The book was written as a life manual, focusing on the two codes of love and gratitude. If used properly, these two codes can help us achieve success in every aspect of our lives. Okay, welcome everyone. And again, tonight we are reading in the Abundance book. And I really like this section because it talks about, if we want abundance, we really have to, prevent, in the case it says create a barrier to negative energy, but we really have to make sure that we don't allow ourselves to connect to it. In a workshop earlier today, we were talking about the tendency for people regarding negative energy and positive energy is very different. If you talk to someone and you say like, "Hey, if you get a bonus in your workplace, you get a bonus in salary, that's great, right?" And they go, "Yeah, that's great. I'll have some extra money, and great." And then if you talk to someone and say like, "Hey, what if you lose your job?" They'll be like, "Oh my God, if I lose my job, I won't be able to pay my mortgage, and if I don't pay my mortgage, then my house will foreclose, and if it forecloses, like then I'll be homeless, and then what are my kids gonna do? What are my family? Like the negative goes on and on and on really quickly, and the tendency for people to think negatively is stringing lots of pieces of that negativity together. So that kind of tells you where um, the data is when triggered. And so we have to think on the positive side, do you react the same way? Like if you got, a huge bonus, what would you do with it? Oh, do you think like, oh, I would donate this and I would help people become this, or I would, make an addition to my house to create this, to create more space to house my parents or in-laws? Like, do you think that far, or do you just kind of, yeah, this would be good? And so with our experiment with a few people, we found that more people tend to worry about the negative. And as parents, I think we all have a tendency also to worry and then really elaborate on what you worry about. If your kid doesn't wake up on time for school, we think, oh my God, this kid's going to become a bum. How can you not wake up for school? How can you miss school if you do that? What are like we think about all of these negative things as well. Whereas maybe it was just a one-time mistake type thing. It's not that big of a deal. So I think that's a great opportunity to audit ourselves and the energy and the data that we have. And so this section I think is really important is that once we recognize that, wait, maybe there's some negative here, or I'm worried or something, we really have to stop that immediately. Because the problem isn't just thinking it once, it's creating that habit and having the negative energy data there building, accumulating. Earlier today, I was talking to a couple younger people, and I shared a little bit about what I see a lot of young people doing is they're on social media and they're looking at everything TikTok, scrolling, looking at, and there's negative this, negative that, and then they actually give themselves to each of these videos that they see. They cry when they see something. They get mad when they see something else. They get excited. And so I told them, I'm like, as young people, think about your energy as money. Every time you cry for this, that's like $20. And then when you're mad at that, that's like $20. Like, think about that. If you spent all, you would have no more money. And pretty soon you're in debt. It's no different than financially. If you use the money you have and everything you see, you spend $20, $10, everything, you have no filter. Pretty soon you start to borrow money through your credit card. And then you have debt. And then when you have debt, you have this pressure. And this negative energy now sets in. So when one thing goes wrong, it triggers like the whole house of cards to fall. Much like how a lot of people think about the negative energy if they allow themselves to get into that, right? So imagine if you have $100,000 in the bank and you waste $5,000, you'll be fine. You'll, okay, I don't want to waste money, but I'm okay. But if you owe $100,000 and you waste 5,000 more, now you start to think, what if I can't make my payment? And if I can't make the payment, then this happens and that happens and this and then, that's that whole string of things that people go through. And so the example here, or the kind of the lesson here is we really do have to manage our daily thoughts, energy, and our, positive, negative. So overall, the energy management has to happen every day. Otherwise, we build this up. It's almost like 5 years of building up financial debt. And then one day, thinking I'm going to fix it all, it won't happen that fast. Because typically, a problem that took 5 years to create will probably take some time to fix too. And the problem with a lot of people is they just want to, like, beginning of the year, New Year's resolution, hey, I'm going to change. And then they want to change immediately. So this is something that we really have to pay attention to. Through that energy management, it helps us recognize what we're working with. If you're a type of person that has worried your whole life and you're 50 years old, think about how much data you've created. So each time you trigger that, you're not just triggering like one thing, you're triggering, decades of this energy. And so we really want to be cautious of what our data is in our database. And there, that to do that, we also have to recognize, what do we do on a regular basis? When you see something, do you explode because you have all that data like fire, like fuel ready to burn? Or do you look at things, take a deep breath and say, like, okay, I can manage this. I don't have to blow up. I don't have to, yell at someone or something like that. And so this is where it's very important on a daily basis that when we encounter something that may want to trigger that negative, looking at a person, judging them in a certain way and pulling the negative things out, we want to be cautious of that. Earlier today in a workshop, I had a woman that told me she had read so much of the book and was asking me for credit. And initially when I was talking, I don't know her that well, but she kept saying, believe me, I read this. And I said, okay, no problem. Tell me, what does it mean to you? How? And then she just looked at me like with a big blank face, like just like smiled and looked at me. And I smiled back and looked at her and said, so like, what about section 1? What is it? And then she started flipping through the book. And I was like, I don't feel like she read what she said she read. But I didn't want to jump to that conclusion to say that she's lying to me. So I said, hey, let's look it over. Let's look at each section. And then maybe you'll refresh your memory. And then you tell me what you think. And so we kind of went through that. And then I realized, like, maybe she's nervous. The language wasn't perfect. She's more, Spanish speaking. And so I took a different approach. But I had to tell myself, give her the benefit of the doubt. I trust that she did what she said. Because there's a moment in me that says, she did not do this. And she just wants the hours until she can go to court and just, the hours she wanted would equal like $90 worth of payment. And so I go, this woman just wants to, save $90. But I gave her that benefit of the doubt. We tried a different approach and we started talking about, and I did some of the exercises that we usually do, and it triggered a different thing. And then suddenly she was able to speak more and kind of share and then take the things that she read from the book. And the end result was great. 2 hours later, we finished the workshop and she, learned quite a bit of things and had a lot of good questions and stuff. So even when we're doing a workshop, in the middle of the workshop, we have to make sure that we practice what we preach, right? Or practice what we're reading off the pages, because we're all human and there are tendencies. And why did I think possibly that she didn't read? Because I've encountered people who come in and said, the next day I read the whole book. And I said, really? Like, so share. And like, all kinds of this, that, and then couldn't even like tell me who Alex was in the book, which is like the very introduction basic piece, right? And so that data is not helpful to have when you talk to other people. So we really have to practice this and not allow ourselves to jump on that negative kind of train, if you will. When it does pop up, we have to use the tools of, say, love and gratitude. And, in my case, I had gratitude that this woman took the time to come to this workshop to, improve her legal situation. So that being said, it gave me a moment to take a step back. And so tonight's section, which fits perfectly to that, is we have to make sure that we do protect ourselves from being consumed by negative data. And number two, we have to start three actually things. Two, we have to start learning how to remove the negative data. And then three, we have to make sure we don't repeatedly add more data to it, because then it's just kind of a vicious cycle. So that is the section, we're going to be talking about today, that we really have to protect ourselves from the negative energy. And with that, I'd like to introduce our panelists. We have Amy from Las Vegas, Nevada, and we have Vivian from Walnut, California. And we're going to get started on page 192, and Vivian and I will be reading. And once again, the format is dialogue between Master Sun and a student, and I will be reading Master Sun's section. So if you hear my voice, you know those are the words of Master Sun, and if you hear Vivian, those are the words of the student. Okay, so page 192, and Vivian, I believe you start.
Yes. Section 7. Completion of the point in 7 steps. Elimination of negative energy brings forth abundance. Dear Master, when will you teach us ways to enhance our energy level? I cannot wait to learn them.
Yes, let us talk about this today. Elimination of negative energy brings forth abundance. First, let me ask you a question. Do you feel you have a net positive level of energy in you?
I cannot give you a direct answer as it is invisible. I do feel it fluctuates from time to time.
In our daily life, when you are running short of positive energy or something is going wrong, you will end up developing a sense of deficiency, a sense of uneasiness, or a sense of worry. This is an indicator to you. It represents that at the moment there is a problem with the balance of your energy field. This is very straightforward, and there is no gray area.
We have covered a lot about energy. I believe Master will dive deeply into the topic of energy today.
Yes, if everything is made up of energy, of course we need to develop a deep understanding about energy so that we can master it and turn it into our advantage.
But negative energy is everywhere. Somehow, I feel it's rather difficult to prevent it.
Okay, you can pause there. And Vivian, would you like to share?
Yes. Thanks for letting me read this section. Yeah, Superlab Cyclical emphasize here the importance of understanding the concept of energy. Even though we cannot see it or touch it, the energy exists everywhere. And then to give a simple example, our personality itself carries energy, being emotional, angry, crying, worrying, blaming, or shouting loud. It often associated with negative energy, while being happy, optimistic, helpful, considerate, respectful, and patient represent positive energy. When we choose to be patient with someone during a conversation, our attitude, whether patient or impatient, directly influence the energy we project towards other people. And then a few days ago, while listening to Master Sun's interview in a 1,000 questions on an abundance life, the topic is talking about the patience in communication. For example, Master Sun, I think the host just gave an example. Say person A may feel unable to tolerate person B's slow speaking pace. And then before person B comes out the main point, person A, his mind works so quickly, and the person has already lost the patience to listen to what the B wants to talk about. And the person A probably just got opportunity to say it without giving a person B a chance to finish the talking. And then I believe all of us have ever had this experience in our workplace or at home. And the Master Sang explained that in such moments, person A should cultivate generously of the heart and give person B the space to speak. And then with mutual cooperation, person A can train himself and strengthen his own patience, while person B is able to communicate completely and freely. And the Master Sang also said sometimes, due to person A's lack of patience, he might miss some key points that person B tries to explain. And from such energy exchange, the loss ultimately falls on person A. And then we can say impatience is something we are born with it. Or we can say impatience is caused by our environment. It can be either or both. And then learning in Super Life Cyclical System, if we are sincere and willing and then serious about seeing our own issues, our own problems, we must work diligently to correct our bad habit. Just like impatient, if you are you are not patient at all. When you deal with things, deal with people, most of the part it will be not completely harmoniously. So impatience usually shows up first, to our closest family, our friend, and then classmates or co-workers. And if we are unaware of it, over time, our relationship with other people will eventually get affected. This is just the concept of energy. When our input is wrong, is negative, our output will not be right and will not be positive. And then the host also mentioned during her childhood, she doesn't like to study those hard subjects like mathematics or theory, and which required even more patience uh, to do the calculation or to study the concept. And the Master Sang respond to the host that at every stage in our life, we just need to cultivate ourselves, and then we need to have humility, patience, and then perseverance in practice. The journey from zero to to proficiency, we definitely will face a lot of challenges, but we need to do something just like Mr. Tsai says in this way. We should not fear of difficulties. With this mindset, where there is a will, there is a way. So in Super Life Secret Codes, we see many students achieving remarkable results. This happened not overnight, but they cultivate themselves. They try very hard step by step, starting from the smallest details to refining themselves through consistent effort. Just like Master Sang always says, the devil is in the details. When working on our own habit patterns, we must patiently conduct a thorough ground level examination. This is just my personal reflection after listening to Master Sang's interview in 1,000 Questions on Abundant Life. I realized that although patience cannot be touched, it is also a form of energy. Through learning Super Life Secret Code, we are reminded to constantly observe our own energy field and make an effort to remain in a positive state. As Master Sang always mentioned in the interview, and then he says patience can help create a positive energy field, which in turn assists healthy communication between those two persons. allowing both sides to reach a win-win outcome. Thank you. This is just my sharing.
Thank you, Vivian, for your sharing. And yeah, as you're talking about patience, being energy based, I often hear, people talk about, you need to have patience or you are impatient. So if we agree that patience is, a form of a measurement, let's say, of positive energy, then impatience can be a form of deficiency in some type of energy. Sometimes it's time, right? We become impatient with people if we ask them a question and we need an answer right away and they cannot come up with the answer. Sometimes a lack of money energy can affect our patience too, because we may feel like now's the time we have to do something to either maximize our money or save money. And so I think it's important that we recognize kind of, again, as Vivian shared, the importance of this energy, that we have to manage it and what causes us to be impatient. Again, in a previous workshop, one of the participants talked about her and her boyfriend constantly having fights and problems. And clearly, when you're at that level, yourself energy low, the other person lots of negative energy as well, there's a deficiency between the two people and constant impatience, right? They cannot handle anything the other person says. As Vivian mentioned earlier, have enough positive energy or patience to come to the win-win. When you don't have it, it's a lose-lose. And the sad part of it is that both participants, both people don't realize that they don't have enough to make it happen. And yet they still fight as if they do. And the end result is a repeat, like a constant repeat of conflict and the lose-lose. So it's extremely important to kind of recognize this. And again, the energy management starts when you recognize what you have as a kind of an energy state. Like it asks, do you know what your energy level is at? For instance, it is 8:37 p.m. in California time and Las Vegas time. Clearly, there's not enough time to do certain things. And so we have to recognize that, right? It's 8:30. I can't go do something that takes 6 hours because I don't want to be up until 2 a.m. in the morning or something. We recognize things like that, but this interesting thing is most people, they don't monitor themselves close enough to manage their energy that way. If you know that typically when you argue with someone, it's an hour, do you know how many people fight in the middle of the night and then they're exhausted? But because their tendency and their data is once they get into it, they want to fight till they win. And if both people do and they both have kind of that endurance to fight for an hour or longer, they'll be up till the middle of the night. Again, knowing that they shouldn't be up that late, and on top of that, they shouldn't be fighting with someone, but yet we do. And so this is the part that the importance of what Vivian was sharing about the positive energy is so critical, right? That we need to make sure we have enough positive energy to maintain these things. And one way to make sure we have enough positive energy is to make sure that we don't keep building negative energy, taking that away, the positive energy away from us. So the energy management in itself is so important. So we have to manage and understand our positive energy, where it comes from, how we can build more, how do we not waste it? And then we also have to look at where negative energy comes from, how we keep, building more and how to prevent that as well. So Vivian, thank you for sharing this with us. And again, everyone, we really have to focus and manage our energy, the positive side and the negative side. Okay, so with that, Amy and I will be reading from page 193. Great. Looks like I start.
Okay.
Develop an understanding and erect a barrier to negative energy. Hence, I would like to first of all teach you how you can erect a barrier to prevent negative energy. Many people do not know where negative energy comes from. As a result, in just one split second, they may feel emotionally down, feel a lack of confidence to their future, or a lack of drive and direction in life. In more severe cases, people could commit suicide. Actually, there is a close relationship between our positive and negative energy to our senses. In Buddhism, these are referred to the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Let's try to recall and relate in yourself whatever that affects your energy has a direct relationship to your senses.
That's correct. A human has 6 senses. Buddhism talks about the 6 root delusion, right?
Very good. Let me give you an example. When you are walking on the street and a nice aroma comes out from the restaurant, triggering your hunger, you end up being attracted to go inside the restaurant. Inside the restaurant, everything looks delicious, and you end up ordering the spicy fried chicken. It is very fulfilling with the first bite. Little do you know that the food you put into your mouth and body generates negative energy. Eventually, it will affect the operation of your body, breaking the harmony of various organs and lead to a bad emotion.
Well, I can't imagine there's such a severe consequence of eating just a piece of spicy fried chicken.
Some people like to eat spicy food and they like it really spicy. It is really fun during the time of eating, but after that, they can feel a big stress to their body. By the time your body senses and reacts, it is out of control. This forms burden to the body, which is a kind of energy leak. Whether such a leak will affect your future depends on whether you have full energy at the point of the energy outflow.
What you mean is that the discomfort in our body leads to a bad emotion, followed by disharmony in our relationship with people, resulting in the loss of opportunity for us.
Yes, things happen in a chain reaction. In between, if there is an absence of positive energy, imperfection is almost a certain answer. Oftentimes, people yearn for positive energy, but if you ponder carefully the way we lead our lives, you will find out that it is not easy to lead a good life. There are tremendous challenges on maintaining our physical body, let alone the challenges about our mind and soul. If we do not take good care, we will end up creating many leaks and our effort will go in vain. Okay,
Oh,
we can pause there.
all right.
Let's see. Um, okay, so in this section, it talks about the example of eating, spicy food, and maybe it tastes great at the time you eat it. Um, you know, Personally, I used to be able to eat more spicy food, and now I can't. It just doesn't sit well with me, and it's one of those. Yes, when I eat it, I remember like there's memory of the spice and kind of creating the heat where you sweat a little bit. We joke it clears our sinuses, and you just kind of feel everything is clearing up and kind of breathing. But then later it becomes like a stomach ache and becomes a problem, and it can kind of disrupt your schedule. And it's something that starts out innocent, and there's no intention to like cause a problem. And drinking alcohol is another one. And I recently kind of had this situation where I was just kind of at a concert and having fun. Nothing like out of too wild, but it just was like an accumulation, and it created a burden on my body later. That that night and the next day with the hangover, and then the chain reaction of that is it is very true that suddenly I cannot, drinking too much that night, having a good time and everything was fine, then eating late at night, which isn't very healthy, but at that moment felt really good, kind of like eating that spicy food and then later having a stomach ache. Well, in this case, you eat late at night, your body's trying to sleep yet digest at the same time. It doesn't create like a really good sleep. Add to that too much alcohol, and then the next day, extremely tired, kind of hungover. Then I needed to sleep more, but as I was sleeping more, it wasn't like quality sleep, but yet I still used the time. So when you think about that, think about the leak. In the book, when it talks about leaking energy, you might be thinking, what does that really mean? Well, I'll give you an example. Like if you drink too much and you're hungover, you may sleep till 2 p.m. in the afternoon, but you're exhausted. So the energy leak there, let's just say, is time energy. Whatever you didn't do from, say, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., which, maybe you normally would wake up at 9 a.m., you just lost, 5 hours. 5 hours of time lost. If you're an attorney that makes $700 an hour, there goes $3,500, right? Depending on what you do, with that time, it can be a big leak, and it can also be, not such a big leak, but it can create habits as well. So what do you do next time when you don't feel right? Maybe it's not from drinking, it's just something else. We sleep, we do different things, and potentially we leak our energy, time energy. The other part of that is you physically don't have the energy that you're supposed to have after sleeping for as long as you had. The night I had a little too much to drink, I think I ended up going to bed probably around 2 or something like that. And so I slept till 2 in the afternoon. That's 12 hours. I should be well rested. Well, I wasn't really well rested when I woke up. And so I kind of got, I was forced to get up because, we had some friends coming over. So I had to get myself together. But I was a little bit tired still that night. And then this potentially can become a habit where you just kind of feel 80%, 70%. And pretty soon you become numb to that. And there's that cycle that we do certain things, we kind of suffer the consequence, and we realize it's not right, and we learn how to survive. So our goal is to thrive and do well, let's say, for whatever we do. When that doesn't happen, we just want to get through, finish it, get done if it's whatever the activity is. And then sometimes we just want to survive, like even if we don't finish, but let's not kill ourselves or hurt ourselves, right? So survival becomes the thing. And then sometimes when survival doesn't even happen and you do injure yourself or you don't finish, then we become numb to it. So it's kind of like the chain reaction going the other way when things don't go well. The worst case is when we're numb. And when we're numb, bad is bad, worse, and everything below that, it's all the same. And it's just constantly draining from us. And that's where the next phase, when people become numb to everything, potentially can be depression. And then when you really run out of, energy, positive energy, some people consider suicide. This is something that, we have to learn how to manage in kind of the sequence of all this type of, energy. If we don't recognize what the kind of cause and effect, like earlier, if it's, in my case, drinking too much and then, leaking this energy, or somebody eating the spicy food and then creating a situation for themselves, discomfort. Some people, if they're eating the wrong foods, they prepare themselves with taking Tums or, some sort of stomach thing to prevent that. And that's how they get through with it. But their body still is not doing well. It's just numbing that effect. Think about people who take lots of medicine for certain issues. They cover up, they numb out, and eventually it kind of kills them from the inside. They don't feel the symptoms, but their body is still malnutrition, malnourished, or kind of having, I don't want to say poison, but whatever the chemical reaction that wasn't right in your system that now requires, if you have to take cholesterol medication and you still go out and you eat like crazy, it's going to have an effect on your body to a certain degree. So these are things that we have to be careful that we don't fall through the stages of kind of recognizing what's going on. And that's why it's important for us to kind of think about the things that we're about to do. Earlier, I talked about, recognizing that having an argument with someone is draining. Earlier, I had shared with some people about what if, every time you argue and you have negative energy, it's like throwing money away. Most people value their money, right? So imagine if you have an hour argument with someone and that's worth $100. If that were the case, I bet you most of us wouldn't argue. If somebody was there, like a police or something that could say, monitor and say, hey, you just argued with someone for an hour, that's $100. I'm pretty sure most people would stop arguing because money has a different value. Someone would say, why would I waste $100 arguing with you when I can take that $100 and go have a meal, right? That's how people think. But with our own energy, we don't think about that. It's like eating spicy food and having an upset stomach. You just kind of deal with it. But why? If our goal is to maximize our energy so that we can do good things with our positive energy, we need to pay attention to these things. So the next time you get upset and you want to fight or argue with someone, you think about that. Think about that what you're about to do is going to cost you $100. Is it worth it? And if you can pause and think about that, I assure you that you will make some adjustments. You probably won't argue. If you do once, maybe that's fine. You figure like, you know what? I'm going to pay the $100 and I'm going to let this person know how I feel. But if you have to go back and forth hour after hour, day after day, and spend that kind of money, you're probably going to stop. You're going to at one point say, you know what? This is not worth it. I've already spent thousands of dollars for what? Nothing, because we end up having the same fight over and over. So you may think to yourself, no, it doesn't quite make that, it's not that simple. But think about it in different ways. If you call a plumber to fix a clog, they come in, they do some work, they say, it's all good, you're fixed, you pay him $100, he leaves, and as soon as he leaves, you try the thing and it doesn't work. And you call him back. Do you feel like you should pay him another $100? Or do you feel like, hey, I paid you $100, you should do your job, fix it? Most of us would ask him to fix it. And even the plumber would probably be like, oh my gosh, I didn't fix what I thought I fixed. I should fix it. The what is fixing the clog. How they did it, the first time that they ran the tool through it, maybe it didn't work right, there was some other problem, they have to do it a different way multiple times, let's say. So we don't care how they do it, we just want them to get to the what, and the what is fix the clog. So again, back to how we manage our energy when we argue with someone. Ask yourself, what's your point of this argument? What do you want from this argument? What's the what? Do you want this person to agree with you just so that you feel better? Or do you want them to agree so that they can change their path of action or their actual action and create a different result? For instance, you want someone to get up when they didn't want to get up. So the physical thing, the what is, we need this person physically to get up and maybe, let's say, go to a place. So that's the what. But oftentimes we'll sit there and argue why what we want makes sense, and we never get to it. We just argue. That's like wasting the money. And if we were charged money to get nothing out of it, I think we would think twice, because we are trained to manage money, right? If you go to McDonald's and you order chicken McNuggets for $10, you pay, what do you expect to have in your hand after you pay $10? Chicken McNuggets. But what's interesting, we don't have that transactional behavior when it comes to dealing with other people, trying to resolve problems, negotiating or discussing or sometimes arguing with people, sometimes once we get into it, maybe it's the negative energy, the data that we already have that just kind of creates the fight. But we end up arguing for no reason. And sometimes, if you're lucky, in the middle of the argument, two people might say, what are we actually talking about? Why are we having this conversation? What does this have to do with anything? Didn't we start the conversation for A and now we're at Z? What went wrong? That's a good result in a sense that two people can recognize that, because a lot of times people don't. And they do start with the topic A, trying to resolve and get to a result of A, and they end up B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z. And that starts to create a habit. And it creates like a score in history. So the first time this happens, let's say person A loses and person B wins. Guess what happens next time between person A and person B? There's going to be a bit of motivation or desire for person A now to win, and they're going to have to work harder for that. And in this case, working harder sometimes is arguing, fighting, being more powerful than the other person, whatever, means necessary. So that's something that I think, again, we have to be really cautious of. At the end of the day, managing our energy, making sure that we don't just go through the emotions of argument, negative, creating negative energy for no reason and not getting the outcome we want and being unfulfilled after spending all this energy. So again, I think the best example is just think about, before you do something, put a dollar value to what you're about to do. If Amy did something I didn't like and I want to tell her about it and want her to change, do I just want her to change the outcome of what she did? Or do I want to teach her to, something entirely new? Some people want other people to apologize to them. Whatever the case is, or whatever the outcome you want, at least if you're going to spend this energy in my kind of example world, you're going to spend this money, get what you want. Because that, at least between two people, we realize I wanted this and I persuaded and I convinced, negotiated with someone to get it. And in the end, we did come to a resolution. And next time, maybe the other person will get their way, right? This is a pattern that we set for each other. But we have to be accountable to that, and we have to manage our energy in such a way to get these results. So if it helps you think about, translate your energy that you're about to spend to argue with someone or to discuss something with someone like you're about to spend money. And then ask yourself, is it worth it? Along the way, there will be moments that you say, you know what, I am not going to waste any more money on this. I'm okay with just letting this person be right, and we end it here and not waste any more money or time and energy. So it's very important to do that so we can manage our energy and make sure that we don't allow ourselves to get into bad habits to create more negative energy, which will then be kind of fuel in the negative energy data area that can light on fire when we trigger it. And that's oftentimes what makes it difficult for people not to fight with one another, not to argue, because they have all this negative data. So we want to, one, recognize what kind of data we have. Two, start to get rid of the negative data. And again, three, prevent ourselves from repeating, generating that negative data. So with that, thank you for letting me read and share. We'll now go to the next section, and Amy and I will be reading from page 195. And Amy, I believe you start at hence.
Yes. Hence, there is a close relationship between positive energy with our wealth, luck, salary, and business success.
Yes, money is a form of energy too. When we do not have sufficient positive energy, it is daunting to attract money into our life. Many people work their whole life chasing for money, but they always feel they are short of several $100s here and there. Is it that difficult to earn the few $100s? For them, it does seem so.
What you want to say is that even when one has full confidence and comprehensive preparation, without positive energy, he will still fail.
That is correct. Before you develop realization and enlightenment, you tend to attract negative energy more than positive energy. With just a bit of carelessness, your senses will produce a lot of negative energy. They will repeatedly produce large amounts of negative energy into your body, mind, and soul. This negative energy in your body, mind, and soul will hinder your way towards wealth and luck when you are insufficient in all aspects in life. All issues related to body, mind, and soul will appear one by one in your life.
Based on the logic that you have just shared, does it mean rich people are loaded with positive energy?
There is a female celebrity in Taiwan. She is very wealthy. If we look at her now, her fame and influence has come down substantially. However, energy field is a sum of all factors. It is a net value of the result of everything in operation. Hence, you may not see the net value going down in a steep way, but the momentum is affected. No matter whether this is enjoyment or suffering, your energy field has the power to lead imperfections to your body, mind, and soul.
Your meaning?
Some people lead a hard life with a slight improvement in energy in their energy field. They still continue to suffer with a bit more improvement. He is still suffering from insufficiency. As long as there are no leaps of improvement in his energy field big enough to switch his state, he will still end up suffering. If he has not improved substantially enough to reach the required level, even though his opportunity comes, he will still miss it. Coming back to the example of the female celebrity, no doubt she is still wealthy, but maybe her wealth energy field dissipated overnight. Or maybe her wealth will stay with her until her last breath. We don't know. But it is apparent that her energy field has deteriorated, taking effect on her body, mind, and soul. It does not mean that when one is wealthy, everything is all right.
Okay, I understand.
You are the one who determines whether to have positive or negative energy in your life. If you do not have enough confidence, but you hold dear on the concept that you can actually maneuver your energy and you can see and feel it, then you can generate positive energy by yourself. Despite having such belief, sometimes you still may be tricked by your energy field.
Being tricked by my energy field, despite having full confidence, why is this so?
Today, even when you are full of positive energy, your positive energy may not prevail because you are uncertain if you can sustain it. Such thoughts will deter yourself away from the positive energy. Some people, despite living in a despicable condition, feels relaxed and peaceful because their heart enhances their ability to accept positive energy. The moral of the story is that you must couple your drive and confidence with strong faith.
Is this not easy to understand what you say? No, sorry, it is not easy to understand what you say today.
My point is, everyone can be affected by energy. At this moment, are you affected more by energy generated from the past or energy generated at the present? Considering your energy field, which is a product of energy generated from the past and is related to the operation of the universe? Okay, we can pause there. Amy, would you like to share?
Yes. So this section talks about elimination of negative energy, which hardly people talk about it. But in Super Life Secret Codes, Master Sun is very wise. He knows that to teach people how to improve their life, he has to talk about both. He has to talk about positive energy and negative energy, because we can be building a lot of positive, but we're leaking the same time, meaning that we have so much negative energy. So at the end of the day, positive and negative do not balance. We have more negative, so it's still negative. So we have to be aware of our negative energy. So this story talking about this Taiwanese celebrity. She's very wealthy. I'm sure she was famous and so forth. However, her condition is going downward. So it's very hard to know how much energy we have at this moment because we can't see it with our eyes. So Master Sun always reminds us that let's not worry about like how we, whether we can see or not. Just keep building, just keep inputting more positive energy. That's all we need to focus on and leave the rest to the universe. The universe will do a great job on calculating, doing, who's supposed to be blessed and are you worthy to be blessed? Leave that to the universe. And we just have to focus on doing a good job. So many times, many people are from the outside, they look like they're doing great. For example, this lady is very wealthy, and some people maybe have everything in life. And yet, in an invisible energy world, this person's energy is declining, it's going down because these people have not been building. They used the energy, what's left from before. They built it in the past. It's almost like they have a big saving account from the past and they just keep using it. But when is it going to run out? Who knows? Can be tomorrow. So if we don't have this sensitivity about just keep building, then we're going to be one day finding out that we're in big trouble and we have no way out. So Master San always reminds us to save for a raining day. So always think about, what if? So have this urgency of keep building. And in Master San teaches us on energy management. And in the mundane world, or we call it the material world, there's so many disturbances, and there are human factors, they're situational, they're the natural disasters, there are all kinds of things, and the news and so forth. There are a lot of external noises and factors. So we have to do a good job on protecting ourselves, especially this day and age. There are a lot of negative news or negative talks everywhere. So if our mind is not very strong, we're going to be affected every day. When you turn on the news, you watch a lot of bad news, and it's going to make it's going to ruin people's mood. Or you hear lots of friends and family, so and so passed away, so and so run into this problem and that. You're going to feel very depressed. So we have to have a strong mind. And that's what's important. That's why in Super Life Secret Codes, Master Sun teach us, don't let the negative things or energy get into our head, and always turn to the positive channel. And mind switching is what we'll do. So I have an example. I do not eat ice cream because many years ago I chose to eat everything warm. So anything I put into my body, I prefer room temperature or warm. So I prefer not to drink cold water or ice cream. Every once in a while I cheat, but most of the time I don't. So I go to my in-laws' house, and my in-laws default dessert, especially to my kids, it's always ice cream. And so I've been married to this family for many years. And till this day, she would still ask me, would you like an ice cream? And I would say, no, thank you. I don't eat ice cream. And the next thing she asks me is, why? And it happened a few days ago again. So it's okay. But it kind of got into my head a little bit because I go, I've been married to your son for this many years, and you asked me the same question this many times, and my answer is always this. And you still ask me why I give you the same answer. And I go, you don't really understand it, or you don't care, or you don't want to remember. So at that split of a second, the negative thought did get into my head, thinking that, my goodness, she just doesn't care because I told you many times. But then I had a choice to stick with that answer, or I might switch to, you know what? First of all, she's getting older. And then I can say, it's just kind of a Chinese way of, being cordial, asking a question. And maybe it's like a reflex. If there's no offering, would you like one? Maybe she thinks it's rude, so she just has to. And she has to ask why, because maybe that's just her way of, showing her care. I don't know. But I prefer that way. I prefer the positive way. I go, you know what? Da 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 da. This is fine. So that's what we do every day. If we allow all our negative noise get into our head, and once, twice, three times, we're gonna blow up, right? So anything that happens like right away, if we can remove it, like clean it out, we don't have buildup. The worst is when we have so many. Then one day, I'm sure somebody says something again, we're going to say, I have been telling you 250 times. We're going to do that. So if we can right away melt away, mind switch, and it's not a big deal. It's okay. Next time, it's not a big deal because we kind of programmed that in our head already. So that's what Master Sun teaches us, which I think is so amazing and so beneficial. And also Master Sun always teaches us that if in terms of learning or cultivation, the only two-way street, advancing or regressing. There's absolutely no in between. Oftentimes we hear people say that, oh, I'm not progressing, but I'm not going backward. I'm staying the same. And I've been saying this level for a long time. Yeah, it's okay. But there's no such thing because there are only two ways. There's no way to stay in between. Think about this. Every day we're using energy. It's like burning calorie because that's how we can live. And energy is the same way. We're burning. If we're not putting in, we're burning away. So how can we tell ourselves that we're staying here and doesn't move? It's not possible. We're actually going backward. So I think about a great example of the free solo climber Alex recently. He climbed the Taiwan 101 building, and I was watching it live, and he was going upward. He could take a small break, but he still has to keep going. Can you imagine that he decides that he is not going to go up anymore? What's going to happen? He's going to run out of steam. If he just stayed there, there's no way he can just stay there and not using up his energy. And once he completely run out of his energy, he's going to fall and he's going to die. So his only option is going up. If he says, I'm giving up, and he's going to fall down. So in terms of cultivation, it's exactly the same way. That's why Master Sun says, go, go, go as fast as you can while you still have a lot of energy. Can you imagine we run out of energy and we say, uh, you know, um, and stay there? That's no way because our energy is gone. And by the time we decide to move again, there's no more energy. So Master Sun says, go, 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 get to the destination, and then you can take a break. So don't take a break in between the process of climbing. We're gonna fall down. So keep building, keep advancing, and keep building up positive energy. That is my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, for your sharing. And yeah, as you mentioned, we got to keep building our positive energy. I think we have to recognize what we're doing, first and foremost, and then ideally, build that positive energy. It all comes back to the energy management. You can't do much if we don't have ability to measure something. I recently heard, I think it was a coach or something that says, oh no, it's actually one of our sales guys. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And I think that's a really good statement. Our salesperson was talking about, and the owner, actually, not the CEO of our company, was saying, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So think about that. What is your energy level? What is the energy output that you put? We all know sometimes if you count calories, how many calories you've taken in. We know how many hours we slept. We know how many hours we worked. We typically know how much money we spent today. And in some cases, depending on if you do the math, you probably know how much money you made today. So these are all things of energy that we can measure, therefore we can manage. But, to Amy's story, if she thinks negatively about the comment, how much energy was that? Do you know? No, you don't. So we just do it. And if no one else says anything, we continue to do it. And so these are the things, and this is the importance of energy management, recognizing what we do. And sometimes it's good to talk to other people because you can bounce things off of them. And if you say something and it upsets somebody else, then that's like, take a mental note. This is negative, right? And then next time, try a different way. And if they smile and they appreciate you and they say thank you, and so then this was positive, and maybe we can, start to find a rhythm here towards more positivity. But at the end of the day, we need to monitor ourselves in order to measure our input or outputs, and then that will allow us to manage the outcome. So again, I want to thank Vivian and Amy for their reading and sharing. Also want to thank all the people online. And last but not least, I want to thank Master Sun for providing us these great tools to improve our lives. Have a great rest of your night in the US and a great rest of your day in Asia. Thank you.